Hi everyone, my name is Devika Buddy, as you may already know, and today I'm coming at you with another video. Now, as you can see from the title of the video, why am I reading or rereading all the books that I've already read? Because I'm stupid. Because I didn't know how to read before I actually started reading books. Right? Because I thought, or maybe you are also thinking the same thing, that if I'm reading books, I'm gaining all this knowledge and I'll be able to quote all these amazing writers and poets. And when you actually go to think about it, you don't even remember half of the books you've read. You don't remember what half the books actually said and what the storyline was. If it's fiction. If it's non-fiction, you can't quote one quote from the writer or the author without actually looking it up on Google. So if you want to know what you're doing wrong or what you could do better whilst reading so that you are able to retain most of the information, then please continue watching, and I hope and I know that you will definitely get something out of this video. Now, the first thing that I would like to start with is know the kind of book that you are reading. Right now, books are divided into the fiction, non-fiction category, the genres, and all of these things because each book has a different pace, right? They don't only have a different story, but they also have a different story portrayed in a different way, and which is to be read in a different way. So the first thing I will always suggest you to do is just take the book and skim through the book, right? Understand the pace of the book. If you probably want to read, let's say, chapter 1, and you understand that it's, let's say, a fiction book, it's a story, let's say coming of age story, and you know all these events are just happening boom one after the other, then you know that for such a book, right, you need to keep pace. It's a fast-paced book. You have to read it with that pace. You start and you just keep moving, right? You experience the story. The story is meant to be felt, and the story is meant to be experienced secondhand because you are the reader, and somebody's narrating it to you. And that is the pace that you will read the book. You will want to cover most stories. You will want to cover what happens to the character. You will want to cover where the character is going after this, and you will want to know more about the story. Now, in comparison, let's say, like, I recently read one of my all-time favorite books, I could say, is 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. And what's happening with that book is heavy, right? Because Jordan's each word is so weighed. Each sentence has so much weight because each sentence comes from such thorough chain of thought that you can't just read a sentence and leave it, right? When you read a paragraph, you have to read it slowly so that each word is kind of embossed in your brain for you to then recollect and, you know, like synthesize all the information that you have got and then make a story out of it. So certain stories are given, and that mostly happens with non-fiction, but there are a lot of non-fiction books that don't require you to have that level of attention. For example, I'm going to put the title down because I can't really say the word, but that book essentially is an easy read, right? It's a read where, though it's non-fiction, and though it's giving you certain sense of knowledge, you still don't have to it does not demand so much of your attention or so much of your thinking, right? It's pretty straightforward, but certain books are not straightforward. I'm currently reading Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, and it is, though it's a fiction book, though it's a story, the way it's been told and the way it moves between one character to the other, and the thought process behind each, let's say, dialogue that's written there for the character is extremely deep in certain ways. And it's heavy because the story is very heavy. So you need to understand the kind of book you are reading. And once you understand that, half your battle is already won, right? The second thing, and don't spend too much time on this, the second thing you want to do is reflect. Okay, now for you to retain, now listen carefully, right? For you to retain any information, you must be able to recall that information. So what do I mean by that? Like, if you don't put a strain on your brain to recall certain information after certain periods of times, and that is consistently and recurring, then you will not be able to establish a hold of that information for a long period of time. So what I suggest you to do, and I think a lot of readers now say the same thing, is when you read a book and you know that the book is dense, okay, then you need to know how much is your capacity, right? For example, I will, let's say, read 50 pages. After 50 pages, I will recall the information. I will not note it down. No, I will not note it down while reading, because that is just pure distraction. You cannot enjoy the reading that way, right? Because every second there is going to be a new word, new quote, a new phrase that you want to underline or note or write it down. But rather than doing that, try to read, let's say, 20 pages, and take the time to recall what you have read, to try to bring back what the writer is trying to say to you, to think about what the character in the story wants to do, or which point in life that he or she is in. And if it's a non-fiction book, how does it relate to your life? How do you bring the story together? You know, when has this happened to you? Because memorization is not just, you know, taking an information and trying to store it, right? It needs persistent, and your brain needs an intention and a persistent intention for it to remember or keep something that is very, very important to you. So what I do is, and this is the technique I recently sort of started adopting, is writing it down. Now, I use a digital platform because I've realized for whatever hard sort of paper notes I've made are all over the place. So now I'm making a digital note. You can use anything. You can use OneNote, you can use WordPad, you can use Notepad. I'm personally using a very famous app amongst the readers, and that's called Notion, and sort of I write down my key takeaways on that particular notepad, and I put all my quotes there and everything. And what this does is you are exercising your brain to recall the information that you have read, and then eventually, pages by pages, you'll have this set of information that you've derived, which will be a synopsis of the book, and that will be your synopsis of the book, right? And so every time and honestly, memory is a big demon, right? You can't always depend on it as much as you think you can. And this is one mistake I've always done, is depended too much on my memory. Like, I will remember it. No, you won't, because there are so many stimuli around us, especially in nowadays. Like, immediately you take your phone and there's a distraction, right? You watch the TV, there's a distraction. And so with all of these things happening, it's always good to be in an environment where you're able to write down or note down the story from your perspective. So let's say in the future you want to refer back to a book, you can just go through your synopsis, read a quote or two, read a citation or two, and then you will understand or get the gist, and everything will start coming back to you, especially if you've done some reflection on the book. Like I said, right, how do I relate to the book? How do I adapt certain parts of the book to my life? And those are the things that are actually going to stick with you, because that is not just memory, but that is memory with persistence and intention, right? Well, another point that's very, very important, I feel, is read aloud and explain what you don't understand. Now, as a child, right, I've always been doing this. Like, I've always had a blackboard and chalks, and all my studies from the time when I was, I think, I don't know, 4th standard, 5th standard, I've always been teaching these invisible students, right? So I used to always say things out loud and teach these students that didn't even exist. But that's how I learn, because, you know, like they say, when you explain things to somebody else, you understand them better, and you sort of start questioning those things better, because then you have to simplify those things. And simplification is a very, very difficult task to accomplish. So if you really want to, let's say, like, some concept really sticks to you and you really want to retain in it, you really want it to be ingrained in the essence of who you are, then, you know, you say it out loud. That's what I do. Sometimes I'll just close the book and I will say, and this is also on the same lines of reflection, but I will talk it out. I will say, you know, this is what the writer said, and, you know, this is what he did, and I remember this part of my life where it actually happened, and talk it out loud. And honestly, if you have that kind of power over your siblings or anybody, you know, just hold one by the collar, get them to sit next to you and talk to them, explain it to them, right? They don't have to be interested in it. They can ask questions, but try to explain to them, because that's how essentially all the difficult and complex topics kind of get simplified. And this does not stick to a book. This could be any academic concept or any academic para that you read and you want to understand better, is when you explain. When you teach, right, you learn. And I think teaching and learning go hand in hand. So if you really, and you should try it, trust me, it always works. You will always remember that one thing that you have taught somebody, especially if they ask you questions on it. And it'll also test how in depth do you know that. concept, right? How knowledgeable are you about that one concept that you have already learned? Another thing that's very, very crucial is, and I know this is something that my professor used to tell me in my college, and she used to always say, like, put a finger at the sentence where you're reading, right? Guide your eyes, because we're so, again, on the banks of like distraction. We're so distracted constantly, you know, our eyes, you keep roaming all over the place. You need to pace yourself, and another way of pacing yourself is using a pointer or simply a finger, right? Or just a pencil. I'll just use a pencil and I'll just pace whatever word I'm reading. I will put the pencil on that word and the faster I move the pencil, the faster my eyes move. The slower I move the pencil, the slower my eyes will move. And that's how you pace yourself, and that's how you focus and concentrate your attention to that particular thing that you're reading. It'll avoid a lot of distraction. And this also means that try to always read in an environment that is always calm, that is, you know, obviously less distractions, because what will happen is, especially, oh my god, when I'm reading Crime and Punishment right now, any small distraction is such a pain. Again, know your book, right? Know thy book. Create an environment for you to read, right? You should want to be able to read in that environment. It's the art of omission. For example, the the's in the sentence, the and, from it, the prepositions and the pronouns. When you sort of skip those words, right? You train your brain to skip those words. You kind of save at least 4 to 5 words per sentence, which overall, when you look at it, saves you a lot of time. Now, this is again, if you want to read faster. This is not something that you necessarily have to adapt to. If you're a person who likes to take the whole experience and then read at your own pace, you should definitely do that. But this is, again, it's a good practice for you to literally skim through documents. Even at work, it's very, very helpful. But I'm personally a voter for quality over quantity. Do not run through books. Do not burn through books like you are going to be the most knowledgeable person on this planet. Trust me. There are so many, like I was just going through my cupboard the other day, and there are so many books I've read, but I don't remember the head or tail of it. I don't have notes. I don't know the quotes. I have markings in the book, but I don't know. I'm not going to carry these books wherever I go, right? Because we keep traveling, you keep moving for studies, for, let's say you're moving to another place, you're not going to be able to carry all the books everywhere. So it's always helpful to keep a synopsis, right? And always focus on reading the one book rather than thinking about reading 10 books, right? Have a goal for the first book. Don't think about the other books that you're going to read, because your job is to retain as much as you can from that one book, because that's going to be useful. What is the point of reading a book if you don't remember what the book was about, let alone the learnings from the book? So always remember, quality over quantity. You don't have to be the person who's read 1,000 books, who's read 100 books. Whatever you have read, you must be able to remember it or recall it as much as possible, and then be able to sort of relate to it in your realist life as much as possible, because that's when theory becomes practical application, and it gets a newfound meaning, right? That's how books have stayed with us for so long, because they found a newfound meaning in the reader, and each reader brings a new meaning to the book. So I think that was it for me. So I'm just going to summarize everything for you. First, understand the kind of book that you are reading, and depending on that, set goals and pace yourself, right? If it's a very deep book, have frequent sort of time gaps for you to recall and reflect on the book. If it's a pure fiction coming of age story, a lot of things happening with the character, go for it, enjoy it, go through the experience. You will definitely pick up something. Number 2, stop to reflect and note, right? Don't underline unnecessarily. Don't write down while you are reading unnecessarily. Enjoy the experience of reading. And after you read a certain paragraph or certain pages, sit down, close the book, learn to reflect, see how it relates to you in your own life, see how you can make the best of that information given to you, and then take notes. And when I say take notes, create a synopsis for yourself from your perspective, because remember, memory is always going to be more helpful when it is aided with persistence and intention. Number 3, try to use a pacer or a finger or something that helps you to pay attention to the words that you're reading, right? Use a pencil, use a pointer, use a finger to point out where you're reading. That'll help you to pace the way you're reading, and moreover, it'll keep your attention. Number 4, have a good reading environment. Be in an environment where there are minimal distractions, where you can think and reflect, because you can't necessarily because I'm a person who talks loudly, and if there are going to be people who are going to think you're crazy for thinking out loud, I love to think out loud because I think it clarifies so much for you when you're hearing yourself. But yeah, be in an environment where you can absolutely talk to yourself at the top of your voice, and nobody's going to judge you for it, or at least if you care about it. Another thing, the 5th point I also mentioned, was learn the art of omission. Learn to omit certain words, and that will happen with practice. Like when you're reading, you will automatically sort of learn to remove the words that are there, and that, like the prepositions that are basically momentary, and that you will eventually inherently, if you've read a lot, you obviously know the concept and the context with which each preposition is used and for what it's used. And there are lots of techniques like that, but that's obviously if you want to get faster at reading. Let me see if I missed something. So read aloud and explain what you don't understand. Reflect your personal opinions and experiences. You will always remember it better, trust me. Relate it to yourself or somebody else in your life, and you are for sure you're going to remember it. Reflect on the books you read. Make notes that can last you a lifetime. Absolutely do that. Do it on a digital platform that you can carry with you everywhere. I have this Notion app on my desktop. I have it on my phone. Sometimes I use it online, so you could always refer to it. Literally all this that I'm doing is on Notion right now. Do not rely on your brain. Do not rely on your brain. Be independent of your brain if you want to remember something. When you're reflecting, when you're done reflecting, so what I do is sometimes if you want to quote something or there's a new word you want to learn, in that moment I'll just put a small asterisk and I'll continue reading. Make it as less distracting as possible. Once you're done, reflect on it, pick up those asterisks, note them down, over. You can still remember the vocab and the quotes. And yes, like if you're a person who has a good amount of time, then obviously once in a while go through the synopsis of what you've read, etc. Like certain books are absolutely essential for you to go through. Like for example, for me, this 12 Rules for Life that I read by Jordan Peterson, I've been obsessively listening to all his talks as well. But that's something that I would like to carry with me all my life, because that wisdom is of such relevance and of such importance. I feel like each word has so much value. So I think that's something that I would like to make a note on and go back and read. So remember, not the quantity but the quality of what you read. And that's all I have to say today. All the best for all your readings, and I hope you're safe in these trying times and have fun reading. Please read. As much as you get demotivated sometimes and sometimes you feel lazy, I think reading is important. It's essential to us as beings, and it really gives you a lot of sort of hope. Right? Reading is very hopeful. It's very calming. I just find it's one of the best forms of therapy. So if you're in any part of your life where you feel like times are tough and that nothing is looking too bright, I would suggest you pick up a book and read. Because reading opens up your mind in ways that I don't think any conversation could ever. So yeah, again, thank you so much for watching.